I've been waiting to say something like this. Team Canada wins 4-3 in overtime over Sweden in their debut at the Four Nation face-off. 4 nations facing off. And 2 of them faced off tonight and 1 of them won, and it was Canada. Let's talk about the game and a little bit about what we learned, because I really do think we learned something. We haven't got best on best, like true best on best, in a very long time. The last time sort of kind of was the 2016 World Cup of Hockey. I say sort of kind of because 2 of the countries weren't countries. One of them was Team North America, which is odd because Canada and the US were both represented, but they were this weird young guns team, and I don't know. To give you an idea of how long ago that tournament was, there were dudes on that team in their 30s now. And then there was Team Europe, which made it all the way to the gold medal final, and they should have been called Team Some of Europe because Sweden had a team and so did Finland, and I believe Czechia as well. It was basically the how do we get Zdeno Chara and Anze Kopitar and Leon Draisaitl into this tournament team. And I remember being so cool about it. I am a total hipster, and this tournament, not for me. Well, Team North America ended up being the most exciting team of that tournament. Everyone loved it. We loved their jerseys. I still wear mine. And then Team Europe ended up going to the gold medal final against Canada. And we should have learned right then, even if it's a bit of a novelty tournament, it's still fun. So we fast forward to now, 9 years later. The World Cup of Hockey was September 2016. Here we are in February of 2025. It's been a minute. And it almost feels like at times the hockey community has tried to talk themselves out of even trying to have fun with this thing. I think some of it, at least up here with Canada, some of it had to do with we weren't all that confident in this team. It's true. For months and months and months, who's going to be the goalie? Who's going to be the goalie? And it was a story in this game. But then you see the first goal that Canada scores in this game, and can we just laugh at this? Look at this! Nathan MacKinnon from Sidney Crosby and Connor McDavid. How is this real? How is that real? That's not real. Drew, you made that up. You're learning graphic design? That is not real. But it's real. It's spectacularly real. Now listen, when it comes to the 4 Nation face-off, I don't know why we're getting picky about it. They said it on the commercials very clearly. 4 nations facing off. Yeah, well, it's not what? Yeah, but it's not what? The Olympics? That's next year. They're going. Do what Dochi says and just eat what's on your plate. What's on your plate currently, fork and knife in hand, is 4 nations facing off. And the first 2 in Montreal are Canada and Sweden. Last thing I want to say before I start talking about this game, I know the majority of people watching these videos, the majority of people subscribed to my channel are probably Leafs fans. That are you sickos who just like watching them lose. I got asked a bunch of times, are you going to have any trouble cheering against William Nylander or cheering against Austin Matthews? Dude, tonight cheering against Willie, who I love and cherish and would die for, was the easiest thing ever. Dude, I love William Nylander because he's a Leaf. But if in 2014 the Leafs lost their mind and drafted someone else, I would have loved that player instead. There's an alternate reality where I'm just walking around wearing a Nikolai Ehlers Leafs jersey. Not a Leaf? Well, it changes things. There's an alternate reality where I'd be trying to tell you that Patrick Laine is better than Austin Matthews, but they drafted Matthews. But today, tonight, this week, this is what matters. Canada, baby. Canada. Easy. Fanatics was nice enough to send 3 jerseys to our offices at SDPN. They sent a Canada Crosby, which I'm wearing now. I think I picked the right guy. They sent a USA Matthews and a Sweden Nylander. Adam and Jesse offered me the Matthews USA. I said, no. You think you're gonna catch me in a USA jersey? Man! Dude, I've worn Habs jerseys under the right circumstances. I've worn Bruins jerseys under the right circumstances, and I felt like my skin was about to melt off, but I did. I do not care if Austin Matthews is on the back. Never in a million years. Canada, 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 all the way. That's what it is for this tournament. That's what it is every day. So hey, let's talk about the game. Early on, Canada, holy cow, do they look good. They ought to look good. They're Canada. William Nylander, who I have never liked and have never spoken about in a fond way, takes a penalty, and I laughed the whole time. Then Canada's top power play unit took the ice. Okay, here's a question. Who's the worst player? Here are your options. You've got Cale Makar, off to a terrible start, Sam Reinhart, Connor McDavid, Sidney Crosby, Nathan MacKinnon. The correct answer is, who cares? They scored! McDavid and Crosby play a little give and go. Crosby spins around on the backhand and finds Nate, and even Nate laughs. He puts it past Philip Gustafson, not sure what the heck he's supposed to do, and Canada leads 1-0 quickly. Less than a minute in fact. 56 seconds in. The next goal, well, okay. So we talked about the players who it's going to be easy to cheer against. I can easily cheer against Matthews and against Nylander. They're not on the teams that I cheer for right now. Oh, cheering for Marchand's tough. I won't lie to you. Cheering for Marchand is tough. You know what's mean? In 2016, he scored the gold medal winning goal for Canada. And I thought, you know what? Every now and then, I could get behind cheering for Brad Marchand under the right circumstances. And then they didn't hold another best-on-best tournament for 9 years! Well, now we finally get to do it again. Colton Parayko and Seth Jarvis, nice little board work to get out. Turning defense into offense is something Canada did so incredibly well in the first period. Then it's an odd man rush. Then it's Braden Point. He feathers it to Marchand, and that's a tap in. This is why I love Nova Scotia. And Canada leads 2-0 after 1. Now, how did Jordan Binnington, who was the starting goaltender for this game for Canada, how did he do in the first period? Glad you asked. He did not face shots. Oh, you mean like good shot? No, he did not face shots. Do you mean like, I said what I said, he did not face shots. Sweden's first shot was over 15 minutes into the game. Man, we spent so much time worrying about the goaltending, and yeah, it's still a worry. But the offense is nuts. And dude, Makar Taves. How many pairs in the NHL would you take ahead of that right now? And there it is for Canada, no assembly required. Parayko Morrissey is like your depth. Then you have Shea Theodore, Drew Doughty. Doughty's a replacement, by the way. Could have had Alex Pietrangelo, then you did just have 2 built-in NHL pairs. Like one of the biggest concerns at a short tournament is, oh, the chemistry. How do you build chemistry quickly? You wouldn't have to. Other teams might be able to move the puck a little bit better from their back end, but in terms of shutting it down, Canada might be the cream of the crop. Cream of the crop. I don't know why I said it like that. Like a henchman in Arkham Asylum. I'm sorry. Sweden started to push back at like the very end of the first period, but Canada, I think, went to the locker room feeling pretty good about themselves. We all felt pretty good. Canada is dominating. Sweden is getting laughed out of the building. Second period starts. Okay, Sweden. Oh, okay. They look a little bit better. They look a little bit stronger. They're generating offense. They're not getting hemmed in as much. They even get a little bit of sustained pressure. But things don't really change for the worse for Canada until Shea Theodore gets injured. It seems like such a nothing play. He just goes into the boards funny, and I think he jammed his wrist. He leaves the game, and as John Cooper said after the game, Shea Theodore is actually done for the tournament. That probably sounds worse than it is because the tournament is over in, 8 days? Regardless, you lose a really good defender in Theodore. Yes, they're all good defenders. It's Team Canada, but for the rest of the game, you got to play with 5. Next game on Saturday, you replace Theodore with Travis Sanheim. I think you'll be fine. But for the rest of this thing, you got 5D. Sweden is going to start getting some shots, and what you're going to need is an occasional oh heavens. Jonas Brodin shoots, blink, blink, and scores. No. I'm trying to, no. Listen, again, I wonder if anyone who is anxious about Canada's goaltending situation is simply seeing what they want to see here. It's confirmation bias. But let me add, I would like a save there personally. Would you? I don't. Obviously, I'm not going to say it can't go in because it obviously can. But you'd like a save there. Now, luckily, once again, Canada will head into intermission with a 2-goal lead because of, Sid! On the last episode of the Steve Dangle podcast, there was a comment like, okay, the Crosby glazing has to stop. No. Listen, I know Canada is 26-0 in their last 26 games with Sidney Crosby in the lineup, and he's got a bunch of individual trophies, and he's the oldest player in this tournament, and he's still wrecking shop. He's got 3 Stanley Cups and a bunch of gold medals. But, like, enough! How much of a hater do you have to be? Like, are you a Flyers fan? That's the only valid reason to have that take. Maybe a Caps fan also. Yeah, that makes sense. Anyway, to that opinion, I say boo and fart. Crosby finds Mark Stone, who's just... announcing every goal is objectively funny. Mark Stone and that weird tape job on his hockey stick, bang it in, and Canada up 3-1 after 2. And we should all feel comfortable, right? Like, even more comfortable than we were at first intermission. Canada's up 2 goals, just like they were at first intermission. There's 20 fewer minutes left in the game for Sweden to try to tie it up. Everything should be fine. This should feel comfortable. I'm not gonna lie to you, it didn't feel comfortable at all. Because even though Canada still had the 2-goal lead, the tide was clearly turning. Canada was not only not dominating Sweden anymore, Sweden was fighting tooth and nail back into this game, and Canada didn't really have any counterattack at all to what Sweden was throwing at them. They broke through once, and it was Stone's goal, but in the third period, it dried up even worse. But it's okay, because in the third period, Binnington's going to give them some... I think that was even worse than the first one. Adrian Kempe! He's a underrated player. No, you need a save there, man. Dude, in the regular season of the NHL, 2 goals that shouldn't have gone in going in is a backbreaker. In international hockey, best on best? This can't happen. There are a few things Binnington did really well in this game. I like how he handled the puck. I liked his willingness to challenge shooters and help break things up with his stick, break up those cross-ice passes. But when it came to just him against the shooter, I hate both those 2 goals. But, Canada still has the lead, and probably the worst goaltending of this tournament, and 5 defensemen. But it's all gonna be fine! Until it very wasn't, extraordinarily wasn't. Jesper Bratt, who felt like a ticking time bomb all game. He was dancing out there, looked so good. He catches Canada in a situation that leaves Colton Parayko all alone. Parayko, who plays in front of Binnington on a regular basis for St. Louis. Parayko has Joel Eriksson-Ek in front, so he's got an option here. Just stay with Eriksson-Ek or try to go after Bratt. He tries to go after Bratt. It does not work. This is a good goal. That is one where I look at Binner and I'm like, yeah. And what began as a completely outrageously overpoweredly dominant Canadian performance has quickly turned into, let's just get to overtime. There were a few really good chances down the stretch, and Binnington, who has been eating it in this video, had to make some pretty good saves. Canada survives to OT. 2 things of note there. Number 1, a win in regulation is 3 points. A win in overtime is 2. That is the rules of this tournament. And another, and I really hope the NHL is paying attention and keeps this, overtime is 10 minutes of 3-on-3. Hilariously, the strategy doesn't change much from the NHL to this tournament. Canada starts with just a cacophony of talent up front, and Sweden starts with Joel Eriksson-Ek, and I'm like, I know what you're about to do. And they won the face-off and brought it back, and I'm like, you stink! Sweden just puck-ragged for like the first 2 minutes of overtime. But here's what's hilarious. It didn't really work, because you can puck-rag for a while and be like, oh, McDavid's off the ice, let's keep it away from him. Then Nathan MacKinnon's coming over the boards. And so is Sidney Crosby. Eventually, where's Sid? There was a mad scramble through a ton of traffic. Sweden did a good job with traffic in this game, even with only 3 players on the ice. Binnington and company keep it out. Which brings us to the game-winning play. If you were in the stream that I was running on the SDPN YouTube channel, you know that Marner was getting it a little bit. People weren't necessarily criticizing him, although the playoffs got brought up a lot. It was more that entire line, and I think there's a point. Reinhart, McDavid, Marner. That's a really good group of players. I want to talk about them a little bit more later, but it really, outside of the first maybe shift or two, never felt like that line was getting anything going unless it was just McDavid getting the zoomies and doing everything himself. But now, it's overtime. Things are different. Sidney Crosby steps onto the ice. He goes 1-on-3 and decides to drop it for Mitch. Mitch Marner comes streaking in, bat out of hell. Who's he gonna pass to? The back of the friggin' net because he can grip it and wrap it! Mitch Marner, who has a better shot than even he knows at times, snipes it and ends it, buries it. Canada wins their first game at the Four Nation face-off. That is as fired up as I've ever seen Mitch post-game. Unbelievable. Question in the comments, was that the greatest goal of his career? I'm not talking about style points. I mean, he just sort of attacked and sniped the thing. But is that the biggest goal of his NHL career? It's a question that's not meant to be an insult, although it does come across that way. It's not necessarily about Mitch, it's about like the Leafs and how little they've gotten done. It looked a lot like his first NHL goal against the Bruins all the way back in 2016, shortly after the World Cup of Hockey. I think back to he scored a penalty shot goal in, I think it was game 1 of 2019 against the Boston Bruins in Boston. Like, so many of his best moments are assists. I mean, he finished off that goal against Carolina where Austin Matthews had the spin-a-rooney and the Leafs won 8-6. That's a regular season game in December. It's just not the same. This is Mitch Marner getting set up by Sidney Crosby. Marner said after the game, "You tell 8 or 10-year-old Mitch that he's scoring an overtime goal assisted by Sidney Crosby, a guy he's looked up since day one. It's pretty crazy." And when it's all said and done, Sidney Crosby, the oldest player at this tournament, has 3 primary assists. Animal. Questions. What are the Leafs trading for Sidney Crosby? Okay, Crosby's not getting traded. I've made peace with that. If he shocks the world and accepts a trade somewhere, then I'll change my tune. But for the sake of the exercise, earlier this season, I said something really dumb when we were talking about the hypothetical of the Leafs getting Crosby. And I was being cheap. I was like, oh no, I don't want to give up. I don't want to, anything. Even Matthew, not anything. It's Sidney. Have you hurt your head? It's Sidney Crosby. Anything. Should the NHL adopt 10 minutes of 3-on-3 OT in the regular season? Yes! 1,000,000,000% yes. NHL, people in the NHL right now who run the show know that moment, that eruption that you heard in Montreal, that moment doesn't happen unless overtime is extended. That happened more than 5 minutes into overtime. And would you look at that? Did we get a shootout? No, we did not. Did it last the full 10 minutes? No. It was like an extra minute and a bit. No, we did not. The NHL is trying this, and if the NHL is smart, the NHL will keep this. How do you feel about the lines? What adjustments do you make going into Saturday? I think scratching Bennett was the right call, but I'd pay good money to watch him body a Tkachuk. Dude, a Tkachuk is crazy because there's 2 of them. That's terrible. Okay, so when I think of Connor McDavid, right? He plays with a crazy goal scorer because he's an unbelievable playmaker, and usually like a goal-capable mucker grinder. Like when the Oilers are at their best. I know sometimes they don't do that necessarily, but McDavid usually has like Draisaitl, and then like at times it was Perry, or you could do like Hyman. And I just look at that top line and I'm like, okay, well, Sam Reinhart is there, like playing the role of Leon Draisaitl, Sam Reinhart. What's Mitch? That line felt too much like McDavid and his 2 henchmen, and both Reinhart and Marner are way better than that. On the other hand, the line of Brandon Hagel, Anthony Cirelli, and Travis Konecny were all -2, which was a team worst. From the moment I saw Cirelli was named to this team, I thought him and Marner would make an excellent duo as kind of shutdown guys. And if you want Hagel there for the chemistry, also a very capable scorer. They're all capable scorers. If you have Hagel, Cirelli, and Marner, you have defensively capable forwards who are all capable of scoring as well. I just feel like that would be a really good line. McKinnon, Crosby, Stone. I'm not touching that. Please leave that. That's crazy. Now things get kind of interesting. Marchand and Point, I really liked as a duo. I probably, if I'm getting Bennett into the lineup on Saturday, put Bennett there. That is a pesky, mean, genuinely mean-spirited line. Marchand on the same line as Sam Bennett. And while you're distracted with those two, Braden Point is sniping on you. So then your quote-unquote top line, the top line might be the one with McKinnon and Crosby and Stone. This tournament's so silly. Then you have Reinhart, McDavid, and one of Seth Jarvis or Travis Konecny. You could do worse, right? Putting Marner with Cirelli, again, I don't think is a demotion at all. I think it gives that line a purpose, whereas their purpose in the first game was to get scored on twice. I just think it's a better use of Marner, who, as we saw in this game, is quite useful. What do you think? Leave a comment in the comment box down below, but for now, that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell all your friends. SDPN YouTube channel. We're going to be streaming every game of this tournament, including the non-Canadian ones tomorrow. Young Jesse Blake will be handling USA versus Finland.